to our Mastery Tips and Tricks show. I'm so grateful to be here to talk about streamlining your business operations for fewer bottlenecks and better flow. And today we have special guest Jackie Wysbeek. She is the founder of Eyes to Analyze, and she is your business operations essentialist, helping business owners streamline their business operations and build efficient systems, allowing you to scale. So thank you so much for being here on the show today, Jackie.
Thanks for having me. I've been counting down to this day. So, yeah, really excited to be here. Good way to end the week.
Yeah, happy Friday. I'm so grateful to have you on the show. And I know how important this is for business owners to scale and grow and to stop wearing all the hats and being the do it all person, and to avoid the burnout in their business. So I know what we're going to talk about is super essential and important for everybody. And I love your approach to it. So before we dive into your tips, tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, happy to. So, I am in Alberta, in Calgary, and I've been in the online space since 2021. Actually, crazy enough, I was in corporate basically my whole career, just the way that the wind blew me, and I said yes to some amazing opportunities. Definitely not where I thought my life would be, but it was just knowing that it's exactly where I was supposed to be. And the journey has been a journey. Definitely had some highs and lows, but yeah, wouldn't trade any of it in. So I'd always had this kind of inkling in me since I was a young girl that I wanted to have my own business. I thought it would look different, but again, just saying yes to different opportunities. I ended up in this crazy corporate ride, which I really enjoyed. I learned a lot, worked with some great people, but there were a lot of things that just weren't quite aligned with my values. And in the end, I ended up on a burnout. There was a workplace incident, and I ended up, unfortunately, on 10 months of disability. So that was probably the scariest time of my life, but also I can now look back and know that it was my biggest blessing. And it just, at the end of, or as part of my recovery through this burnout, I just really had to get real with myself. And, did I want to go back to that environment, which I knew hadn't been aligned for quite a while? And I just used that to give myself permission to say, okay, heart, you're up. Show me this entrepreneurial journey and let's see what we can do with it. And so that really led me into starting my business. So, not the way that I probably would have planned it, but it was the way that it's meant to be. And just happy to share my story. And my mission now is to support other entrepreneurs in the online space just from having their own burnout, because that's one thing that I've seen time and time again throughout my entrepreneurship the last 4 years is I thought, okay, this burnout, it's in the past. I got out of corporate. I get to be my own boss. I get to choose my clients. I won't get burned out. And it's funny how life goes, and it just kind of keeps showing you those moments of how are you going to step up and where are you going to make the changes that are needed. And burnout is a reality for in this space as well. So that's what I'm happy to
Absolutely.
share with you.
Yeah, and it's so important that we can help business owners avoid that burnout and overwhelm because that often leads to the closing of the business. And
Totally.
so we want you to stay in business, get on the journey, stay on the journey, and thrive on the journey. That's exactly why we have this podcast. And that's why we bring on special guests to teach in their zones of genius so that you can begin to have a business that fuels you, that you love, because we know you built it to serve and you have a gift to share. And we want you to stay in business and thrive on that journey. And so, what would you say for tip number one, setting up your back end of your business for success for you and your team? Why is that so important?
Yeah, I find that when you're first starting out, you're not necessarily thinking about a team, right? You're just like, oh my gosh, how am I going to make money to pay my own bills? And so, but it's always really important that you think about the long term of your business, even when you're setting up to set yourself up for success. And so, Heather, I know you and I have kind of talked about this before, but there's so much we carry in our mind, that mental load of, okay, tomorrow I have to make sure I get this contract for this client and I have to post the social media. And oh my gosh, I should probably look at my bank account to make sure that I have the cash flow to pay my bills. Or am I saving for taxes? When you have a business, you end up wearing all the hats really quickly. And it's so important that you start right from day one is just trying to keep that information out of your head. It doesn't have to be pretty, but even if it's like, okay, I have to create an invoice. How am I going to create an invoice? Document that. Have a Google Doc open, make sure that you're writing it out. Like, first of all, I open, QuickBooks. Second of all, I click this button because, you're setting yourself up that you don't have to keep remembering this. The next time you do it, you can just look at that document. So it's just let it out and you know where you can go to just make it happen. And then down the road, when you're able to bring some help on, you then can just say, okay, this documentation is here. You don't have to come to me. I don't have to continue to be the bottleneck. This is your first stop of where you're going to go. And so to be really successful, it's really setting those foundations of your tools and systems. And just to clarify, tools, when I talk about tools, it's really the software that you're using. What are you using for even social media? Are you on Facebook? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Instagram? Your accounting system, are you going to use QuickBooks or Zero? Your email, that's the one thing that people, that's even a pretty important decision. Are you going to do the Microsoft Outlook route, or are you going to go and do Gmail and Google Drive? They both have their pros and cons. So, are you going to be setting yourself up for success on those even just basics tools decisions? And then the systems is really, what are the tasks that need to get done? And what are those individual steps that need to happen to get it to that point? I was kind of reminded of that. I don't know, it came up on Instagram the other day. I don't know if you've seen this before, but you ask somebody like, how do I make a peanut butter and jam sandwich? There was a teacher that was telling her kids about it. So they all had to kind of write out what are their steps. And, the first one that she read was, get some bread, some peanut butter, and some jam. And she's like, great, I have a sandwich. And, the kids are all laughing, like, no, that's not how you do it. And then it's like, okay, let's see what the next person writes. It's like, okay, now we're gonna like get out a piece of bread. And now we have to put some peanut butter on it. So she like puts her hand in the jar and smears it all on. And so the kids are just in hysterics. And it's just like the clarity of those
Mhm.
steps. And that's not something you're going to know necessarily right off the get-go, but every time you redo it, you're going to tweak some things to make it more efficient. And that efficiency really drives down to your time, your energy. And when you think about it business-wise, it's really that the bottom line, how much money is coming back to you that you're working or you're not having to, you have the time to get more money. You have the time to, bring on a team and they're not recreating the wheel. They're working at your standards and you're not overpaying someone, which could be money that's, coming back into your business or you're paying for your own expenses. So just that holistic view of setting up those foundations right from the beginning to help you grow sustainably.
Yeah, and it's so important. As you talk about that, I think about like setting up our emails or our events or our forms or our registration pages. There's so many steps to it each time. And if you miss one step, you're like, oh, it didn't automate, which means they didn't get the tag, which means they didn't get the email sequence. Like there's so many little things to remember. And if you miss one, or like you needed to switch out the Zoom link, like what all the things, right? Like all those little things, they add up. And like you said, it's taking up mental real estate. It's going to take you twice as long to do the task because you don't have a checklist. And then when you do the task, you might have missed something and now it's not working or not working efficiently or just not at all.
Yes.
And I speak from experience where I'm like, oh, well, that was the wrong Zoom link. And like, I just got a couple emails in the last week where it was like, oh, we changed the Zoom link and we sent you the wrong one from some like for like a 7-figure business, 8-figure business, right? Like these are the things that we want on that checklist. And that's why updating it regularly, that standard operating procedure, or that protocol is so important to have written down. It's going to give you, you can do it more efficiently and you can do it correctly. And then I loved that peanut butter and jam sandwich story because 100%. And when we do things that are often say in our zone of genius, it might make super sense to us if you say you just need peanut butter, jam, and bread,
Yes.
right? And then somebody else who it's not their zone of genius at all, they're like, and now what? Or for like an example, we use a tracker and we have it set up sequentially by date of when the person was added, right? And so I know it runs like that, but our team was working to make things efficient, and so created it alphabetically, which could seem efficient in a certain way, yet it's not how we use the tracker. And I'll take full responsibility. There was not an SOP, there was not a document of procedure to say, like, here's how to use it. I've just been doing it for so long that you think it makes sense in your mind, so it makes sense to the other person, right? But it's not. And we can truly set that team up for so much better success. It'd be easier for them to have that back end set up. And it takes time. And like you said, we're going to continually update it and change it. But this is what can be avoided. And these are the things that you can gain your time back, more money, more efficiency, things done properly. Then your business and gets more trust built with your people in who you're prospecting, or connections or clients, because of that efficiency. So priceless, really, to set yourself up for success from the very beginning. And if you're going, I've got so much going on and I don't have any of that, no problem. Next time you do the thing, it may take a little longer. Pull up a document and write out exactly how you do it, and just start doing it for each thing as you do it. And I know we want to do things quickly and just like get it done, and slowing down to speed up, and slowing down to create more success is true in business. So just take the time, set up that back end. And you were saying before also that why your first hire may not be the best to hire a VA first. And would you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So that's something that I heard in the online space quite a bit, networking calls and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I'm so busy. I need an administrator. I need to hire a virtual assistant. And so then I kind of was like, okay, maybe this is just something you do in the online space. Like, then I started getting more curious about it. I was in that situation too, like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. I should just hire a virtual assistant. And there is a time and a place for a virtual assistant, 1,000%. I am not knocking them. They are absolutely amazing, but they also have to be set up for success. They cannot come into your business and just know, like, oh, this is how Heather does everything. And, they bring their
Why
own.
not? I'm joking. We wish. We wish.
Unicorn, right? And so they can do like many things probably better, but you have to, even if I think about hiring somebody, there is a whole process around that. And how many people started a business with hiring experience, right? Even just that alone can be like such a daunting task. How do I find these? Or I put out a post and oh my gosh, now I have 100 applicants. What am I going to do with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you think about what type of help you need in your business, yes, it's probably somebody to do the doing of the task, right? Like, in your case, Heather, about setting up an event or like on the tech or the back end stuff. That's not necessarily something you might have to do. You should be able to say, hey, I'm going to host this masterclass on June 15th. Like, can you make sure everything's set up on the back end? And they're like, great, yeah, I can do that. And they can, but they need to know how you've done it in the past. What are all those pieces why did you connect them the way that you did them? What is that checklist that Heather did? Because, from your own experience, you probably learned the sequence of event that it needs to be in. And the beautiful thing is, and I think we'll talk about it a little bit later, but you had a vision in why you started your business. And so to make that vision happen and to, have your clients, your clients better than anybody else. If you are, say, offering services to maybe a demographic that's not very tech savvy, well, they're not going to be thriving on, oh, you have to log into the system and go click here and do this and do this. Like they need something very simple. Maybe even a text for them is going to be better. And so that's where, going back to the tools and systems, it's foundational to have those set up before you even start bringing on that virtual assistant or even that bookkeeper. Just because, they're great at doing the doing, but in a lot of cases, it's like, hey, I need this done. Okay, I can go and run and do this. But they're not seeing holistically how that piece fits into the business as a whole. And so that's where, before you bring on a virtual assistant or really any type of team member,
Mhm.
it's important to have the right tools in place, that everybody kind of knows what they, why would I go to ClickUp versus Dubzado or, any of those tools. And then that place of, okay, now I know I need to do this task. I have an idea I think I need to do, right? Like, oh, Heather wrote that I need to make her peanut butter and jam sandwiches for my lunch. And I see her documentation and it's like, okay, I see that she has bread and peanut butter and jam. And you know what? I'm going to grill that or something, right? So you might come back and Heather's going to be like, oh my gosh, I love this. Or Heather's going to be like, yeah, anything that's grilled goes in the garbage, right? So, so yeah, so just the importance again of, that I feel it's a little bit of a misconception that your first hire should be a virtual assistant. It's really, maybe getting in that other perspective is your operations systems and your tools really set up to support that person, because the risk of it is if you bring on that person, they don't have those foundations for success. You're going to continue to feel like you're the bottleneck and you're like, oh my gosh, this was supposed to help me. And now I'm just spending my time teaching them. And then, as we know, you get turnover or, wasted time, wasted money spent on hours that maybe didn't need to get done. And so
Yeah.
that's where it's like, if we can use the systems and the tools, I like to say, as part of the systems, it's automating things, right? Like, oh, I sent out an invoice. We need to go and remind the person to pay in 2 weeks. It's like, you can set that up in your accounting system that there's an auto reminder that's like, oh, it's not paid yet. Okay, we're just going to send an email. So all those little pieces, they can definitely add up.
Absolutely. They 100% add up. And when we just streamlined our podcast, it gave me back like an hour or two a week. And we just chose, we're like, okay, we have to use a different tool because Restream doesn't talk to anything and
Mhm.
it doesn't, you can't create email sequences with it. So I would have to send the reminders, do everything, create the link the week of, where now I was like, you know what? I know it won't stream to all the platforms, and to have that time back and to have things streamlined and that automation and the efficiency, we're going to sync it with Zoom. Zoom syncs with Acuity. All reminder emails are set up and they get scheduled, and you get the Zoom link and you can put it in your calendar and you know where you need to be, and you're also, like you were saying, like then we were having 10 minutes where people were like, I'm trying to log in, I don't know how to use this, right? Like, even though we sent an instruction video, it wasn't the simple, right? Like, so it's all those little things, they do begin to add up. And if that was just one of the many things that I do and it gave me back a couple hours a week, like, that's amazing. Now imagine if you streamlined and did that through everything. And we just started using new tech like ChatGPT and Opus Clip, and starting to streamline so many more things. And I do love how you note, which is like the next tip, looking at the operations and team holistically. Is one of our key things, as well as teaching people to look at a business holistically, because everything is intertwined. And so if one person or one part of the business, if things get dropped over here, it impacts here and impacts here. So I know I've learned and experienced like how important that it is that we actually look at a business and as a whole. And it's one of the reasons we do create the foundations and teach it as a whole, because I kept seeing like someone be like, oh, we have the answer. But I'm like, but that's only one part of the 8 things in the business you need to do. And then be like, well, we have the answer. And I was like, again, that's only one part of the 8 things you need to do in the business. You actually need them all. That's not going to fix everything. That's going to help, but everything needs to get looked at. So tell us about looking at your operations and team holistically.
Yes, this is something, that I really saw in my corporate days and really saw firsthand, working in a company with over 2,500 people across borders, small field offices, head offices in 2 big cities. Silos. Silos is the word that always comes up, where everybody is like, oh, here's my job description. I'm putting my blinders on and I know I can come into my day and this is what I'm doing and then I check out, right? And so when you have that, you're not working as a full unit. Like, you think about the spoke in the wheel and how it needs all the spokes to be able to turn so it's not like lumping around. And so that's really where I see that really coming to fruition. In the corporate world, I saw it, but in the individual, even if it's a solopreneur, you might have a couple fractional contractors that are helping you out. Some might be retainer where you're getting a little bit every month. Ones might just be coming in for project based, like we're running an event. I know I need to kind of bring on these other contractors. And so that's really where that, holistic approach is. And again, setting up your systems and your tools as your main foundation. Then, as people are coming and going as needed, they're able to plug in and roll up their sleeves and get to work. And there's also transparency amongst those different silos. So, some of the things that I've seen in the past, some people might keep information to themselves to be like, okay, well, if I think that I'm the only one that knows how to do this, then they're never going to let me go. That was more in the corporate world, but it does happen some in the online smaller spaces as well. But you can say, um, yeah, kind of just keeping that information to yourself for that security. Or where I see it is that turnover and the whether that turnover, yeah, sorry, turnover, whether it was planned or not planned, and also time away. So, as the business owner, you didn't start your business to be working 80 hours a week and then not having a life outside of it. It's probably you started your business with the hopes of completely different. Like, I can work, so many hours a week. There's definitely phases where you have to work more depending on what's going on, but it shouldn't be a consistent thing. Like, you have to find that balance for you. And again, that's how you can lead to that burnout. But what I see too is, you have, say, an administrator. Well, what happens when this administrator has a passing in the family or ends up ill? Can anybody else on the team or even you as CEO hop on in and be like, okay, well, I know this task needs to get done. We have this project management tool. I can see everything that they've been working on, their deadlines to make sure that things are keeping on moving. And oh my gosh, what are they doing here? And you have no idea, but at least if you have your systems documented in those standard operating procedures, anybody should be able to go and say, okay, this task needs to be done. I've never done it before, but that's okay. I don't have to go and talk to the CEO and ask them to train me on the spot. I can click this document, all the steps are there. I kind of have that, okay, I can at least get it done. And that really will help you with just kind of keeping the business flowing without these abrupt stops or somebody, oh my gosh, I'm the bottleneck. Next thing I know, I have all these things and I really know what I'm supposed to be doing. But again, if you had like a project management tool, that's your tool that's helping you see that visibility and you're not having those silos. And I really see that too with fractional contractors. Some of us might have employees that, they're working full time for you. That's one situation because their time is fully committed to you. But when you have fractional contractors that you might have for 20 hours a month, they're not necessarily all a cohesive team talking to each other. When you ask them to do something, you're competing now to the other clients that they have. And I think, I see that a lot of people coming out of corporate, they tend to think, well, I was able to go down the hall and talk to anybody at any time because I know that they're going to be there and we're all talking about the same business. But you're kind of like, okay, now I have to have those expectations. It's going to maybe take them longer to get back to me because I'm not their only priority
Yeah.
and they're balancing other priorities. And so that again gives you that visibility if you have your foundation in place. Okay, I know that it's, 5 o'clock in the evening. This person's typically offline. I know that they require 4 hours minimum to, have a turnover. I didn't plan very well on this. It's not fair that I'm going to say, hey, you can't have your evening. I need you working on this.
Hmm.
Not really sure what to do, but I know as a CEO, this is something that's really important that needs to get done. Hey, I can go look at their document and how did they do that, and I can quickly do that. Or, you know what, it can wait until tomorrow. So it's just, yeah, breaking those silos down and having that transparency to be able to keep things flowing without the bottlenecks or abrupt stops, whether they're planned or not.
Yeah, and definitely having those things documented does prevent those abrupt stops. And we might say it'll never happen to me. And then,
Yes.
yeah, and our podcast manager had a family emergency and had to go. And she was the only one that could use Adobe Audition. And so I was like, I could learn it, I could follow this. And instead, we're going to just upright root and change the whole thing. But before that, then there was a lull, right? Like there was a lack of the podcast getting put up. So, really, really is important to have these little things and be prepared. Always just be prepared. Let's just put it in positive language.
That's great.
As Grant Cardone would say, like if the power goes out and you don't have a backup generator, it's your fault. Right, like just always be prepared. And so having everything documented, having the foundation set up, looking at the business holistically, having everything and everyone communicating and on the same page, that will just help you be prepared for whatever comes. And we know in business, a lot happens, a lot changes, and the landscape of business is changing so much with AI and um,
Mhm.
just right, whether we're in a contracting or an expanding economy, like things are constantly changing. And that's the one thing we are promised is change. And so how do we help ourselves be prepared for that? And it's doing this and working with people like Jackie who can come in and set that up for you and streamline that business so that you aren't the bottleneck and that there aren't giant pauses or balls dropped or lack of communication or what have you. So and all that's going to help you own your vision. And so that's tip number 3. How to make your vision happen requires standard operating procedures, team, and support. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I I always think about my upbringing. So I was raised on a farm in a small town. Actually, it was a hamlet. And so it's that community. And that's one thing that I always look back to is who is that community around you? And the thing is that we can't do things alone. We need to have that support. And the same thing is within your business. And every person's going to play a role. And I think that that's where, you risk that burnout that we talked about earlier and having to do things that just really aren't aligned with your vision. And that's going to really deplete you and take out that energy that you need to step into this vision that you have for your life and why you started your business and the impact that you want to be making. You're not going to be doing that if you're stuck behind your computer for 8 hours a day answering emails or those small little things. You need to be focused on those bigger things that is your passion. And so that's really that support, that community, having that, when I think about the business, a bookkeeper, an accountant, somebody that's pretty good at contracts can help you with that administrating of the contracts and legal things, the scheduling, the, marketing. There's all these little pieces that how great is it to build this community of the people that can do those tasks that and those light them up. And so when you guys are all when each of you are in that realm of this is what makes me excited and I'm happy and why I started my business, that you are creating just this beautiful environment of this community to support you as you're making an impact, bigger impact into the world. And so it's kind of that, here's your vision, here's your foundations, what happens in between. And that's such where the beauty can happen. But I see a lot of people struggle in that integration piece as well. And so, yeah, that's where that support comes in. I know my own journey, working with solopreneurs or small businesses, kind of stepping in to be like, okay, you figured out a lot of stuff. You've gotten to this point, which is phenomenal. We're not coming in and changing everything, but let's just have a neutral set of eyes to say, like, hey, what is working well? Where can things be tweaked? Oh, you're using this ClickUp, say, project management tool that you've been using for 5 years, but you haven't been staying on top of what are those updates or did you know now it can do this for you and starting to enhance your existing system
Mm.
to get up to speed to take off some of that manual labor that you otherwise would be doing, continue to do without needing to, right? And so that's where, yeah, just kind of having everybody that's kind of staying in those kind of realms can really help you have that foundation.
Yeah, and the foundation is essential to help you cast that vision, to create that vision, to make it
That's
happen. And I just want to pause here because what comes to me is like, I know some people have been burned with like wrong team members again. Like it could have been like hiring the VAs, but you didn't have them set up properly. So then, and I've done it myself, 100%, take full responsibility. Or you maybe grew a really big team and things weren't set up properly and it didn't work out. So I also just want to talk about like pausing for a second and just maybe you're redoing or reviewing or pivoting and there's some fears from previous experiences. And a lot of that will be solved because this wasn't set up properly. And so when we do this, we can hire the right people and set them up for success. And so streamlining your business operations for fewer bottlenecks and better flow is going to be essential to help you grow. We made it rhyme. I love
Yeah.
it. And so you want to reach out to Jackie and her team to be able to help you. And we know that like with technology, things are changing so fast. So what worked today doesn't work tomorrow. And that's where you can stay in your zone of genius and be the coach or the mentor, the business owner. And that's where that team comes into play. So Jackie, tell us about your free gift, a book to be able to book an operations clarity session with you.
Yes. So, I mean, that's part of this world as well. Always learning, always growing, always connecting. And so, my mission is just to help business owners not feel that burnout, that misalignment burnout, and just, what are those even just small fundamental pieces on the back end of your business operations that can be use? Like, is it a new tool to help support some of the tasks or a person that might need to be integrated? And so that's where I'd love to offer anybody listening to this call an operation strategy session. So let's just jump on, tell me something that's just like really feeling clunky in your business or bottlenecking, and we can just collaborate and try to find something that might help you move past that to just get a little bit more ease.
And I want to say, like a lot of us, we want to hire, and then we're like, we don't have all this set up yet. So then we continue to be the bottleneck. And so that's where Jackie comes in to clean that up for you so you can scale and grow and serve many and share those gifts and make that vision a reality. And if you truly want to have a business that is built around that dream life and gives you time and financial freedom, the operations and streamlining are essential, and you don't have to do it alone. Just remember, no successful person did it alone. And so make sure you book that call with Jackie. Check out Eyes to Analyze, check out the website, learn more about her, and maybe you want to go back and even re-listen to this episode again and see where there are some gaps in your business, and then book that operation strategy call. And just thank you so much for being on the show today, Jackie.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a great chat. And yeah, as always, just really appreciate it. And yeah, just I love how you're trying to make an impact too and supporting business owners. And yeah, it's so important. So building that community, right?
Yeah, and I'm here to help the conscious entrepreneurs to leave their impact, share their gifts, scale and grow so we can change where the money are in the hands of into the conscious entrepreneurs that are putting people and planet over profit. We love profit, never at the expense of humanity though. And so that's my mission. And that's only going to happen if we allow ourselves to scale and grow. And that only happens through streamlining the business operations. So we know we want to get out there and do it. And this is what's going to allow us to do that. So thank you so much, Jackie. And remember, everybody, stay happy, healthy, wealthy, expect magic and miracles. And what is the best that can happen? We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.